Understand why what the disciples are doing here might be considered unlawful by the Pharisees. So the Pharisees see them plucking heads of grain and rubbing it in their hands. Which category might that go with? Well, there's reaping involved there and grinding. So they're breaking the Sabbath tradition, the Sabbath laws, as they called them, but what we would call probably just Sabbath traditions. That's an important distinction there. So they're reaping and they're grinding. And in the process of doing that, if they're eating it, then they're also preparing their food. In the process of doing that, they're breaking these Talmudic restrictions and expectations for the Sabbath. And therefore, they are not resting, they are not ceasing from work on the Sabbath. You could see where this can be very challenging for the people to live in. And especially if the scribes and Pharisees, the religious leaders, are watching constantly to see whether you're going to mess up and then condemn you when you do. That's the heart of legalism. It's the heart of legalism right there. So the point of this is that the Jewish religious leaders have taken, understand that God's the one who established the Sabbath, right? And he said, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Something that's holy is something that's set apart, is set aside from common everyday use. I like to illustrate it as those towels that your mom had when you were growing up that were only for the guests. And you better not get caught using them. Or you walk into somebody's guest bathroom and there's a towel hanging up next to the sink and you're thinking, can I use that one? Because that one sure is fancy. Anybody got a towel like that where it's just for decoration? Okay, that's fine. I'm probably going to use it. So if I'm coming over, you might want to put a different one on there. It's removed from common ordinary use. And so when God establishes the Sabbath, he wants that day. He wants there to be a day in the week that's removed from common ordinary use. That's set apart. That's different from any other day. So the religious leaders have taken this something that God has set aside as holy, and they understand the importance of it, but then they've added so much of their own tradition to it that they've lost the spirit of the purpose of the Sabbath, and instead they're actually shackling people to a checklist that ultimately will not please God. So no longer do you have the spirit of this day of rest, of ceasing. You now have this day of rest and ceasing that's full of expectations. And then Jesus makes this astounding claim. What does he call? What does he say right here in verse 5? He tells this story which helps them see, look, holy bread eaten by somebody who's not a Levite. And then in verse 5 he says to them, the Son of Man is what? Lord of the Sabbath. Okay? So is Jesus somehow drawing a parallel here between himself and God? Yeah. Yeah. The Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath, implying, I'm the Son of Man, I'm the Lord of the Sabbath, and I understand what the Sabbath is for better than you do. And so, yeah, I'm letting them pluck heads of grain and rub between their hands. They're hungry. They're hungry. Let them eat. That's not the point of the Sabbath, is that you go hungry if you forgot to prepare your food the day before. Let them eat. And so he lets them eat. So Jesus is making this great claim, and they understand it. And that's where Luke stops. He doesn't go on to explain where those Pharisees were, whatever. They get it, though. He's claiming to be the Son of Man right here and saying that, guys, you got all these traditions. You got this whole hedge about the law. I'm the Lord of all of that. I'm the Lord of the Sabbath. And y'all have got it very wrong.